How many of y'all have like done video making or anything sort before? I guess what I really meant was how many had.
It was fun. It was kind of challenging because I didn't understand some of the technical things, but it was really fun. And fortunately, we had Jenna here because she's the master of everything. It was really challenging, but it was really nice, I think. None of us were learning how to edit or anything, and that was a really great learning experience. And yeah, I thought it was really cool, and I didn't know I could make a movie, and then we did, so yeah.
It was fun. For me, it was really eye-opening. I really struggled with using any sort of technology, and then all of a sudden I was learning how to adjust a camera and how to edit, and then it became a new source of expressing opinions instead of what I usually stick to, which is writing.
Yeah.
How many of you would make a documentary again?
Planning on making mine like a lot like a real one day. Yeah.
Yeah, for the forest fire crew, I'm curious how you came upon that story and what drew you to telling that story.
Well, the person that we interviewed is my Juan Frank, which means uncle. And just like growing up, he, of course, has done that for like 30-something years, and it was just like, I don't know, it was just like interesting. Like I wanted to know more about it because I hadn't really talked to him a lot about it. Like I hear some stories, like when my mom told me a story, him and my mom told me a story about forest fires, this big forest fire that happened in Colorado Springs like 20-something years ago, and that he was originally supposed to go out there because it was he was on duty, but one of his, like he had been working for like 52 hours straight, and he was supposed to be called because they only have like 400 people for like all of the U.S. and even across seas. They send people out there, smoke jumpers. So he had been working for about 52 hours straight, and one of his buddies said, "Hey, like you have been working for 52 hours, you don't need to go out, so I'll take the spot for you." And so his buddy went instead, and a couple, like 6 other men, and one woman, and they ended up right in the middle of the fire, and there was no way to get out. It was really big, and they had like their fire blankets, but that didn't do the trick, so they actually died in the fire. And it was just like, after that story, like hearing that, I wanted to know more about like causes of fires and how to prevent them, because there are a lot of deaths. And I'm from Boulder, Colorado, and we had the huge 4-mile fire, which was like the 3rd biggest fire in Colorado. And so I'm used to seeing, I live like right at the mountain base, and I'm used to seeing fires all the time, and I just wanted to know more about the causes and like how to prevent them. And just his story, since he's like one of the coordinator people who sends the smoke jumpers and firefighters around the West Coast and East Coast, I wanted to know his story more. So yeah.
So speaking of knowing stories, I'm curious, how many of you feel like you used the documentary process to tell your own story through other people's stories and things like that? So raise your hand if you feel like, for those of you who felt like you need to express your own story in a different way. And how many of you felt like primarily you needed to express someone else's story, like you just were talking about being curious about really learning something more about kind of what's the story of someone else or of someplace else? How many of you felt? Can I speak on that?
I use filmmaking and particularly documentary making at the moment as a form of expression, really as my form of expression and as my vehicle for learning a lot. So even when the process is like one of the most important things for me. The outcome isn't quite as important, although it's awesome to have an outcome. I'm in the process of making another documentary right now that is not, you guys saw a little bit of it last night, but it is not like at all ready. But the process for me of making this documentary and making that documentary is so important that even if I don't get something that I'm like incredibly proud of out of it, it is so beneficial.
This question is for Magnolia, and this maybe is a good follow-up to a filmmaker telling their own story, but I was curious if you could elaborate on the scene with the small child shoving the chicken into the trash can. And just as a filmmaker, what story you were trying to tell there?
Well, yes. If you wanna, okay. So I guess my documentary was really about like what we do at Woolman and learn why it's important. And that little clip was kind of just like, oh, carefree, like little innocent child. Yeah, it was kind of just like a little image of what goes on at Woolman, I guess. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I really appreciated the humor that you brought to your documentary. I think it provided the most laughs of the evening.
Oh,
Thank you for that.
I could have something to say about in terms of Nola's documentary. I thought the whole chicken scene kind of represented like the simplicity of Woolman and how, like, as a young child, simply playing with a chicken is the most fun you could possibly have. And yeah, you don't need movie theaters or like being comfortable with animals. You know, that's a really good thing. Yeah, she's definitely comfortable with animals.
Basically, you're saying what I like meant to say, but I have a problem with words. Or
Do any of you have plans for anything you're going to do with these videos now that you've made them?
Hello. So if you weren't here last night, I am taking the documentary I made to my community and showing it to my school and to my town, and I'm part of an organization that will also let me bring it all over my state to different schools. So it is not only a project here, but speaking out, a way to speak out to my community.
for those of you who were not here last night, I'm going to show my documentary to people I think would benefit from seeing it and seeing that there's different alternative ways of education.
I'm going to show my family our gender documentary to show them how boxed in I feel by the gender binary.
I don't think in my memory ever living in the same place for basically my whole life that my parents have ever stored cars in our garage. They've just used it for crap. So their summer project this summer, while I was away, was clearing it out and just painting the wall and getting a projector, and we've made it sort of a little bootlegged movie theater, and my plan is to show our documentary in there when I get home.
So I'm also planning on showing my documentary to my family, and family was a huge inspiration for it, and it's also an issue that my family has dealt with very intimately, so I feel strongly about sharing that with them, and also my school if I can.
So, I'm curious as to what you guys got out of making, what personally you got out of making these movies. Whoever's interested in answering that, how did you grow or fall apart or whatever out of doing one of these documentaries?
For me personally, I use it as an opportunity to really step outside my own opinions and hear people out and kind of like get a more broad idea of like people's dependencies in general and just look at that honestly with myself. So for me, going through the process of learning about Woolman history and just other people's experiences of being a student here or staff or head of school or anything, I realized how much we have in common with being a part of this community and going through this incredible experience. And for me, it really made me realize how much I'm going to take away from this.
So one of my favorite moments making the documentary was when Jenna came up to me and was like, hey, let's just use Amtrak to get to your house and then we'll just run around and film Rosa, who's somebody in our documentary. And for me, that was hey, we can film, let's just go out and do it. And then you see documentaries like Gaslands, where a guy just travels across a place listening. And for me, that was just kind of an eye-opener. You can start listening and making people's voices and a message heard whenever you feel like it.
I think making the documentary in terms of actually filming really opened my eyes to a lot of people's opinions, and then the editing process, I got a lot out of that too because it made me not be a total control freak and trust my partners.
So, over the course of the past year, my family's gone through a really rough time, and it's involved drug abuse in a very close family member of mine. And it's been really kind of like muddled, and I've seen parts of it from different family members, and it's been a really, really stressful experience. And coming here, I got to talk to other students who had that same experience, and I got to meet so many people when I started working on this project who could talk about what family meant to them and about their experiences and their stories. And it really got what family meant to me into my head. And spending time with my own family and with other families who were so warm and open to me, and also with a huge community, and seeing that what family meant to me was unconditional love, and taking those struggles and taking those wonderful relationships really brought clarity to an issue that was really deep in me and my family.
Making my documentary, it really, I guess, made me realize like how cool this place is, and like how the stuff that we're learning is really cool. And also, when I went home for Thanksgiving break, I showed my documentary to my friends, and just like seeing their reactions about like, they were all just like, so they're like, I'm so jealous, like, go to this incredible place, and it just was like kind of an eye-opener for me a little bit, to be like, yeah, I am going to a really cool place.
It has been such an amazing process for me, and with everybody's documentaries, I've just learned a lot, and like every single one has touched me and opened my mind in some way. But the one that I made, like, it just makes me feel like I'm actually making a difference, which is what I want so bad, and I already have. I've had like multiple women come to me with stories and ask for help, and it's just like, whoa, and I just really hope that I can keep on doing that. And this, I think that I felt like I watched this, and like another 5 years of it would like inspire me again to keep on with this passion that I have to make the world a safer place.
Kate, I just wanted to say one of the things I loved about your documentary, and I've seen a lot of different documentaries on this subject matter, and what really stood out for me about yours in terms of being able to make a difference is that you made it so easy for all of us to feel like we can make a difference on a really complex subject. That simple, we support you, and listen and talk, speak out. Those simple things, and feeling like, yeah, I can do that. That was really powerful. Thank you.
You all can make a difference. Thank you.
Anyone else? If I may just answer the question for me, it was my first time teaching, and I cannot think of a better group of kids, of young people to teach and to learn from, and to make these wonderful films. As Jennifer will hate me for saying this, but it's been such a joy to work with you and learn how to be a great educator at Woolman from here. Yeah.